Stage 3, lymphatic involvement. We need to start right away. Dr. Martinez looked at me across his desk. His fingers drummed once against the manila folder. Outside, February rain tapped against the windows of his Portland office. I'm Mark Reilly, 44 years old, systems architect for a cybersecurity firm downtown. I listened to every word he said, then I nodded once. 2 questions, I said. Timeline for treatment and survival rates with compliance. He answered both. Elena shifted in her chair beside me. She held her purse against her chest, too tight, like she was protecting something inside. Her eyes stayed fixed on the floor tiles. Never looked at me, never looked at Dr. Martinez. I need some air, she said. She left the room before he finished explaining the chemo schedule. Dr. Martinez glanced at the door, then back at me. Any other questions, Mark? No, I said. When do we start? 2 weeks later, I learned what nausea really meant. The chemo hit different than I expected. Not just sick. Everything felt wrapped in cotton. My thoughts moved slower. Words took effort. I slept until 10:30 on a Thursday morning. Elena's side of the bed was already cold. The house felt different when I walked downstairs. Quieter. I opened our bedroom closet. Half the hangers swung empty. Her dresser drawers sat pulled out, nothing inside but dust and a single earring. In the kitchen, I found the note. 4 words on yellow paper, left on the counter next to the coffee maker. I can't do this. Her handwriting looked rushed, shaky, no signature. I sat down at the kitchen table. Read it twice. Then I turned to look at the coat hook by the front door. Her red raincoat was gone. You know what I didn't do? I didn't call her. I didn't text. I didn't check her social media. I nodded once, just like I had in Dr. Martinez's office. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up the calendar. Color code my treatment cycle in blue, radiation in green, recovery days in yellow. The system worked better when everything had its place. The house settled into new rhythms. I worked remotely now, built redundancy protocols for the firm. Elena never called. Her phone went straight to voicemail, generic message, no personal touch. I didn't leave messages. 3 days after she left, I walked through each room, cataloged what was missing. Her jewelry box, gone. The good silverware from her grandmother, gone. The photograph from our wedding, still there, frame empty. She'd taken the picture, but left the frame. Maybe that meant something. Maybe it didn't. I went back to my laptop, updated the calendar, added doctor appointments in red. The rain kept falling outside. Portland in February feels like living inside a cloud. Gray everywhere, moisture that never quite turns into real drops. I made coffee every morning, 1 cup instead of 2. The second mug sat in the cabinet, clean, waiting. Some habits take longer to break than others. Dr. Martinez asked about support systems during my second appointment. Family nearby, he said. My sister Claire lives in Beaverton, I told him. She's good in a crisis. What about your wife? I looked at him. Same way I'd looked at Elena's note. She needed space, I said. He wrote something in my file, probably about stress management, emotional support networks. I didn't tell him about the empty closet. Week 3 of treatment hit harder. The fatigue wasn't just tired. It was like someone had replaced my bones with lead. I spent most days on the couch, laptop balanced on my knees, working in 2-hour chunks. Elena's absence became normal, expected. The house stayed quiet. No morning news playing downstairs, no shower running at 6:30. Just me in the rain and the steady hum of the refrigerator. I started noticing things I'd missed before. The way sunlight hit the kitchen table at exactly 2 in the afternoon. How the floorboards creaked near the front door. The sound my laptop made when it powered down. Small details. The kind you only see when everything else disappears. Maybe Elena had done me a favor. Maybe this was better. By the end of February, I had my routine down. Morning, coffee, calendar, emails. Afternoon, treatment or work depending on the day. Evening, takeout, television, bed by 9. No variables, no surprises, the way I liked it. Elena had left her car keys on the counter, right next to where she'd put the note. I moved them to the junk drawer, out of sight. But I didn't throw them away. Some things you keep, even when you don't know why. I didn't tell anyone Elena had left. Not Dr. Martinez, not my boss, not even Claire. What was there to say? My wife abandoned me during cancer treatment. Here's the note she left. Some stories don't need an audience. I kept working remotely, built redundancy protocols for client systems, the kind that catch problems before they become disasters. Funny how good I was at that. March brought longer days, more rain. The chemo schedule settled into a pattern. Treatment Tuesday, sick Wednesday and Thursday, functional by Friday. I used the good days to observe. Elena hadn't contacted me once. Not a text, not an email, not even through a lawyer. Radio, silence. But our joint checking account told a different story. 3 withdrawals I didn't recognize. $800, 0 cents. $1,200, 0 cents. $450, 0 cents. All made the week she left. All from ATMs downtown. Then I checked our home equity line of credit. Someone had tapped it for $15,000, 0 cents. Electronic transfer. Same day she took her red raincoat. You want to know what's useful about working in cybersecurity? You learn to follow digital trails. I logged into our home router history. Checked the connection logs for the past 2 months, every device that had connected, every website visited, every app that synced data. Elena's phone showed up constantly. Expected, but there was a pattern I'd missed before. Daily messaging sessions. Same app, same time slot, 2:30 to 4:00 p.m. Going back 8 weeks, 3 weeks before my diagnosis, the timeline didn't make sense. Unless it did. I found more evidence on Thursday. A credit card statement I'd never seen. Personal account. Elena's name only. Spa retreat in Bend, Oregon. $3,400, 0 cents. Booked for next month. Couples massage. Couples dinner. Couples hiking package. She wasn't planning to go alone. I printed the statement, filed it in a folder I labeled miscellaneous. Then I called my sister. Claire, I need a favor. What kind of favor? She said. The legal kind. Claire Reilly worked as a family law paralegal in Beaverton. 41 years old, divorced, 2 kids, sharp as a blade and twice as careful. She drove over that Saturday, brought coffee and her laptop. You look like hell, she said. Chemo, I said. Where's Elena? I showed her the note, the empty closet, the bank statements. Claire read everything twice, didn't say a word. Then she opened her laptop. We're pulling your credit report, she said. Full version, joint and individual. She typed fast. Methodical. Like me, but with legal training. Here's what I found, she said after 20 minutes. A personal loan I'd never seen. $22,000, 0 cents. Elena's signature and mine. Except I'd never signed anything. When was this filed? I asked. 2 weeks ago, while you were in treatment. Claire kept digging. Property records next. She pulled up her home deed on the county website. Mark, look at this. The property was listed with Elena as primary resident, single name. My name had been removed. That's impossible, I said. There's a quitclaim deed on file, signed by you, witnessed, and notarized. She showed me the screen. My signature, perfect match. Except I'd never signed it. Check the date, I said. March 8th, first week of chemo. When I could barely hold a pen steady, Claire zoomed in on the witness signature. Then, the notary seal. I'll run the notary number, she said. She pulled up the state database. typed in the ID from the seal. Interesting, she said. Yet, this notary died in 2019. We spent the next hour documenting everything. Screenshots, downloaded files, bank routing numbers. Claire worked like she was building a legal case. Because she was, the forgery is obvious, she said. Question is why Elena needed you off the deed. To sell the house? Maybe, or use it as collateral. She pulled out more records. Home equity searches. Loan applications. Bingo, she said. Elena had used the house to secure another loan, $35,000, 0 cents, filed the day after the forged deed. All while I was throwing up from chemo. There's something else, Claire said. She'd pulled Elena's credit history, cross-referenced it with the timeline. She started moving money 3 weeks before your diagnosis. That stopped me cold. Before? January 15th, first unusual transaction. You got diagnosed February 6th. The math was simple, brutal. Elena had been planning this before I got sick. What do you do with information like that? Some people would confront, yell, demand explanations. I filed it in the folder labeled miscellaneous. Claire watched me organize the documents. Perfect stacks, chronological order. You're taking this pretty well, she said. Am I? Most people would be screaming by now. I looked at her, the same way I'd looked at Dr. Martinez. Screaming doesn't solve problems, I said. She nodded, like she understood. What do you want to do about this? Nothing yet. Nothing? I want to see how deep this goes first. That night, I sat at the kitchen table. Rain against the windows. House quiet except for the refrigerator hum. Elena's car keys still sat in the junk drawer, next to the spare batteries and rubber bands. I thought about the timeline. 3 weeks of preparation, moving money, finding someone to help her. All before she knew I was sick. The cancer had just made it easier. Maybe I'd seen the signs all along. Maybe I'd chosen not to look. Either way, it didn't matter now. I opened my laptop, updated the calendar, treatment schedule in blue, recovery days in yellow, added a new category in red, research. The system worked better when everything had its place, even revenge. Claire called me on Monday morning. I found something, she said. What kind of something? The kind that puts people in federal prison. She drove over during my lunch break, brought a thick manila folder in her serious face. I ran a forensic document review on that quitclaim deed, she said. She spread papers across my kitchen table. Technical reports, signature overlays, digital metadata. The notary seal is a scanned copy. Dead guy from Salem, Harold Vance. Died December 2019. How does that help us? Using a deceased notary is a federal crime. Mail fraud, wire fraud, document forgery. Claire opened her laptop, pulled up a government website. I filed reports with the county recorder and state fraud division. Anonymous tips. She showed me the confirmation numbers, everything documented. How long before they investigate? 30 to 60 days. Maybe sooner if other red flags appear. I nodded, like I had with Dr. Martinez, with Elena's note. What's step 2? Step 2 involved my colleague Dave Chen. Dave worked fraud response for our cybersecurity firm, specialized in financial crimes. Owed me a favor from last year's system migration. I called him Tuesday afternoon. Dave, hypothetical question. Those are the dangerous kind, he said. If someone was using forged documents to access home equity, how would you catch them? Flag the transactions. Monitor future activity. Wait for them to do it again. What if they're already planning to do it again? Then you set up triggers, automatic alerts. Let the system catch them for you. Dave was quiet for a moment. This hypothetical situation wouldn't involve your house, would it? Maybe. Bring me the paperwork, I'll take a look. Wednesday was a chemo day. I sat in the treatment chair, IV in my arm, poison dripping into my bloodstream. But my mind stayed sharp, focused. Dave had found Elena's partner. Jace Morrison, real estate broker, specialized in fix and flip properties. 3 previous partnerships with Elena, all using homes as collateral, all profitable. Until now. Here's the interesting part, Dave had said. They're planning another HELOC. Same property, different lender. How do you know? Credit inquiry yesterday, your social security number, your forged signature. The system was already in motion. That night, I made a decision. Time to give Elena what she expected. A sick husband losing control. I opened a new checking account, different bank, moved my entire salary, left the joint account with exactly $847.00. Enough to look like confusion, not strategy. Then I did something else. Created a separate email account, started forwarding my work correspondence to Elena's old address. Made it look like chemo brain. Mistakes, poor judgment. Elena would hear about this through her lawyer friends, bank contacts, the real estate network. Proof that Mark Reilly was falling apart. Perfect timing for another loan application. Claire called Friday morning. They took the bait, she said. Already? Jace filed new HELOC paperwork yesterday, $28,000.00. Your signature. Same dead notary. She sounded excited. Professional excitement. But here's the beautiful part. I installed monitoring software on the county recorder's website. Every time someone accesses your property records, I get an alert. And Jace accessed them from his office computer. Timestamp logged, IP address recorded. I sat back in my chair, watched rain streak down the kitchen window. What happens now? Now we wait. The system does the rest. You know what's funny about building security systems? You learn how to make them report crimes automatically. Dave had helped me set up triggers on all my accounts. Every forged signature, every fraudulent access, every illegal transaction. All logged, all timestamped, all forwarded to the appropriate authorities. Elena and Jace thought they were stealing from a sick man. They were actually building their own criminal case. File by file. Crime by crime. The first automated report went out on Monday. Federal Housing Commission, suspected mortgage fraud. Multiple properties. Pattern of document forgery. I didn't send it, the system did, based on parameters I'd programmed weeks earlier. Tuesday brought another report. State Banking Commission. Fraudulent HELOC applications. Wednesday, FBI Financial Crimes Unit. Interstate fraud investigation recommended. All automatic. All triggered by Jace's own actions. That's when Claire found the really interesting information. Jace Morrison has been under investigation in Nevada, she said. For what? Mortgage fraud, real estate scam, bilked retirees out of their homes. She showed me the court documents, federal case, still pending. The moment he used that forged notary seal in Oregon, every transaction got flagged. Doesn't know. Neither of them know the federal database cross-references automatically now. I thought about Elena at her spa retreat. Couples massage, couples dinner, celebrating their success. How long before they figure it out? Could be days, could be weeks. Depends on how fast the feds move. I went back to my regular routine. Treatment Tuesday, sick Wednesday and Thursday, work Friday through Monday. The house stayed quiet. Elena's car keys still in the junk drawer, but something felt different now. Maybe it was the knowledge, maybe it was the waiting, or maybe it was the understanding that systems always balance themselves. Eventually, 3 weeks later, Dave called with an update. Your friend Jace made another mistake, he said. What kind of mistake? Filed mortgage documents in Washington state. Same dead notary, same forged signature pattern. And now it's officially a federal case. Multi-state fraud investigation. Dave paused. The FBI contacted our firm about consulting on the digital evidence. They specifically mentioned your house. What did you tell them? That we'd be happy to help, pro bono, of course. I almost smiled. Almost. Dave. Yeah? Thanks. Don't thank me yet. This is just getting started. That night I sat at the kitchen table again. Same spot where I'd read Elena's note. Same chair where Claire had shown me the forged deed. But the folder labeled miscellaneous was empty now. All the evidence had been submitted. All the reports filed. All the traps set. Elena and Jace had built their own prison, one forged document at a time. The system worked exactly as designed. Dumb problems solve themselves. You just have to give them the right conditions and enough time. 3 months later, my phone rang at 8:47 a.m. Unknown number, Portland area code. Mark Reilly, speaking. This is Jennifer Walsh. I represent Elena Reilly in a legal matter. Elena had hired a lawyer. Interesting. What kind of legal matter? Mr. Reilly, we need to discuss your property. There's been a complication. Her voice sounded tight, professional panic. What kind of complication? Can we meet today? This afternoon? I'm busy this afternoon. Chemo? Silence on the line. Mr. Reilly, this is urgent. The Federal Housing Commission has flagged a criminal case tied to your property. I sat down at the kitchen table. Same chair, same view of the rain. Go on. Jennifer Walsh explained the situation like someone reading from a script. Federal investigation, document fraud, forged signatures. The state's notary board is auditing every transaction Elena filed in the past 6 months. That's unfortunate. Her bank has frozen all funds pending the investigation, both personal and business accounts. Everything. Mr. Reilly, Elena didn't know the house was still jointly owned. The title transfer never completed. I almost smiled. Almost. Why didn't it complete? The forgery was flagged before processing. Of course it was. The system worked exactly as designed. What does Elena want from me? She needs you to cooperate with her legal team. Help resolve this misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. That's what she was calling it now. I'll consider it, I said. That afternoon I forwarded Jennifer Walsh an email. Subject line, digital evidence chain. Elena Reilly case. Attachments. Metadata logs from forged documents. Signature overlay analysis. IP address trails from fraudulent access. Bank routing overlap reports. Timeline of unauthorized transactions. 47 pages total. All generated automatically by the systems Dave and I had built. Jennifer Walsh called back 20 minutes later. Mr. Reilly, where did you get this information? Security protocols, standard monitoring. You've been tracking Elena's activities? I've been protecting my assets. Is there a problem with that? Long pause. Mr. Reilly, this documentation shows Elena committed multiple felonies. Does it? You realize what this means for her? I looked out the kitchen window, rain still falling, May in Portland. I realize what it means for the investigation. Jennifer Walsh stammered through the rest of the call. She tried different angles. Elena was stressed. Elena made mistakes. Elena didn't understand the legal implications. She just wanted financial security during your illness. By forging my signature? She was scared, Mr. Reilly. People do rational things when they're scared. People do rational things, too, when they plan ahead. Ms. Walsh, Elena started moving assets 3 weeks before my diagnosis. How do you explain that? Silence. I will need to research that timeline. You do that. I hung up. The story broke 2 days later. Not in the mainstream media, in a local real estate crime blog called Oregon Property Watch. Headline: Real estate broker arrested in multi-state mortgage fraud scheme. The article detailed Jace Morrison's arrest, his previous investigations, his pattern of targeting vulnerable homeowners. It mentioned an unnamed co-conspirator in Portland, female, age 38. No names, but enough details. Reddit picked it up within hours. Someone posted screenshots from the blog, started speculating about the Portland connection. Anyone know who the co-conspirator is? Sounds like insider information? Real estate industry? Then someone posted a photo. Elena at a real estate networking event 6 months ago, standing next to Jace Morrison, both smiling, both holding champagne glasses. The comment section exploded. That's her, Elena Reilly, married to some tech guy. Heard her husband has cancer. She dumped him during treatment. Cold. Real cold. I didn't post anything. Didn't need to. The internet did the work for me. Jace Morrison was arrested on a Tuesday. Claire called me with the news. FBI picked him up at his office. Perp walk and everything. What about Elena? Different strategy. Her lawyer negotiated a plea deal. What kind of deal? Fraud by deception, misdemeanor. Fine and restitution. No jail time. I nodded, like I had with Dr. Martinez. With Elena's note. She gets to keep her freedom, but loses everything else. House reverts to joint ownership. All fraudulent loans voided. Credit destroyed. Fair enough. The legal process moved faster than expected. Elena's name was removed from all property documents, legitimate ones and forged ones. The house belonged to me again. Officially, all the money she'd stolen came back with interest and penalties. Her lawyer handled everything through paperwork, no court appearances required. I never saw Elena again, never spoke to her directly. The last communication came through Jennifer Walsh. Elena wants to know if you'll consider mediation. For what? To discuss the marriage, the separation, moving forward. I thought about that. Elena, sitting in some lawyer's office, trying to negotiate her way out of consequences, still looking for the easy solution. Tell Elena something for me. What's that? Let the process work. You know what the strangest part was? I never felt angry, never felt vindicated, never felt satisfied, just complete. Like a system that had finally balanced itself. Elena made choices. Those choices had consequences. The consequences played out exactly as they should. No drama, no confrontation, no emotional outbursts, just math. Actions and reactions, cause and effect, the way I'd always preferred it. My treatment ended in July. Hair gone, 14 pounds lighter, but stable. Dr. Martinez called it a success. Clean scans, good prognosis. You handled this better than most patients, he said. How so? The stress management, staying focused, maintaining routines. I nodded. System worked as designed. He looked puzzled, but didn't ask what I meant. Some explanations aren't worth giving. The house felt different now. Quieter. Cleaner. Elena's car keys were still in the junk drawer, next to the spare batteries and rubber bands. But everything else had changed. New security system, new locks, new passwords. One name on all the accounts. One signature on all the documents. One code on the hook by the front door, the way it should have been from the beginning. July 15th, last treatment day. Dr. Martinez removed the IV from my arm. Same chair, same office, same rain against the windows. How do you feel, Mark? I looked at my reflection in his computer screen. 14 pounds lighter, no hair, skin pale as paper. Stable, I said. That's the best word we can ask for. He handed me a folder. Scan results, blood work, follow-up schedule. You beat this thing. I nodded once, like I had 6 months ago when he told me I was sick. Some responses don't need updating. The house felt different when I got home. Quieter, like it had been holding its breath and finally exhaled. I walked through each room. Kitchen, living room, bedroom, study. Everything in its place, everything clean. No traces of Elena except the car keys in the junk drawer. I left those where they were. Some things you keep, even when you don't need them anymore. The old coat hook by the front door had broken last month. Loose screws, wood rot, 20 years of Portland rain. I'd bought a replacement at the hardware store. Same style, same bronze finish. Took me 15 minutes to install. Level, secure, built to last. I hung my jacket on it. One coat, one hook. The balance looked right. That evening, I sat at the kitchen table. Same spot where I'd read Elena's note in February, where Claire had spread out the forged documents, where I'd planned everything. The yellow paper was gone now, filed away with the rest of the evidence, but something new sat in its place. A small manila envelope, legal size, my name written across the front. Inside, the original forged quitclaim deed, recovered from court records. My signature, Elena's signature, the dead notary's seal. All the lies in one document. I carried the deed to the kitchen sink, found a book of matches in the junk drawer, next to Elena's car keys. Struck one match, held it to the corner of the paper. The document caught fire slowly. Elena's signature first, then mine, then the notary seal. I watched the ink curl into ash, black flakes floating in the white porcelain sink. The lies disappeared, the truth remained. Math doesn't lie, systems don't lie, people lie. One last thing to do. I opened my laptop, logged into the home security system I'd rebuilt after Elena left. New passwords, new encryption, new access protocols. The user list showed 2 profiles. Mark Reilly, Administrator Elena Reilly, Master Access. Her profile had been suspended since March. Red text. Access denied, but it was still there, still taking up space in the system. Time to clean house. I clicked on Elena Master Access, selected Delete Profile. The system asked for confirmation. Are you sure you want to permanently remove this user? I clicked Remove. The screen went dark for a moment. Processing. When it refreshed, only one name remained. Mark Reilly, Administrator. The house settled around me. Quiet sounds. Familiar sounds. Refrigerator humming. Rain on the roof. Floorboards creaking as the temperature dropped. I closed the laptop. Put it away in the study. Then I walked through the house one more time. Checking locks, turning off lights. Everything secure, everything in order. At the front door, I looked at the coat hook, one jacket hanging straight, no empty space next to it, no missing piece. Just what belonged there. You know what I realized? Elena had done me a favor. Not intentionally, but still, she'd shown me what I was capable of, when pushed, when threatened. When someone tried to destroy the systems I'd built, I was stronger than I'd thought, smarter than she'd assumed. More patient than anyone expected. Some people get revenge through confrontation, shouting matches, dramatic scenes. That's not my style. I prefer systems, logic, consequences that follow naturally from choices. Elena made her choices, the system processed them. The outcome was inevitable. No anger required, no emotional outbursts, no drama, just math. The next morning I woke up in a house that belonged entirely to me. Legally, financially, digitally. No forged documents, no stolen money, no unauthorized access. Clean title, clean credit, clean conscience. I made coffee, 1 cup, sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop and checked the calendar. No chemo appointments, no court dates, no legal deadlines. Just work, normal work. Building security systems, protecting people's data, solving problems. The way I'd always done it. The way I always would. At 2:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Mark, it's Elena. Can we talk? I read it twice, then deleted it. Some conversations aren't worth having. Some chapters are meant to stay closed. I put the phone in the junk drawer, next to her car keys. Then I went back to work. The system was running perfectly now. No bugs, no vulnerabilities, no unauthorized users. Just the way I liked it. I nodded once and kept typing.